Happy New Year! 2024 was a wild ride for me personally, and mostly not in a good way, unfortunately. And the games, well, they kept coming, which was great for therapy. I wasn't always on point, but I got videos up when I could. I hope to do better next year, or this year, I guess I should say. Anyway, to begin the new year, 2025, I wanted to look back at the games I missed initially in 2024. Were these all amazing must-play recommendations? No, but I did enjoy the journey, and hopefully you will too. To save my breath, I'm going to divide this video into two parts. Savvy? Okay, let's begin this voyage with Among Ashes. It is a fourth-wall-breaking horror game that admittedly got me good. It begins with your character booting up their old Dell-like desktop and playing a Doom clone. Suddenly your friend Mark pops up in a messenger equivalent to MSN to give you a new horror game called Night Call. It's basically a first-person clone of Resident Evil or something else from the 90s. Night Call is not that impressive for a zombie game, but that's not all. You will eventually start to hear noises in your bedroom and can then investigate the apartment. From quick flashes of dead girls to creaky radio signals, there are a lot of terrifying moments. Even though the game was not visually impressive, Among Ashes still got me with the vibes of nostalgia and uneasing feelings. Blade Prince Academy takes place in a world that is at war, and an academy of trainees is in charge of fighting back. You can use the campus to level up various stats and equipment, heal wounded, and build relationships. It's like Fire Emblem Three Houses, but with everything being handled by simplistic menus, instead of running around and doing, the whole exploration bit. On missions, you can choose several party members to venture off. Once in a dungeon, you can move around freely by clicking around and exploring various nooks and crannies, looking for loot, and of course, monsters. Once an enemy sees you, combat can begin in real time, although everything is automatic unless specials are assigned. It's like a more bite-sized version of an RTS game that works well on the go. I played it on my Steam Deck, and it mostly ran well. But there were times when the button stopped working or the game just sort of froze, but it's in development. Bloomtown, a different story, blew me away because honestly I judged a book by its cover literally. I think the banner art for the game looks generic and the character sprites are not that appealing to me outside of battle. Inside is a different story and the rest of the art looks great. So, let me spell it out for you. This is Earthbound meets Persona. You begin as siblings Emily and Chester, entering their grandpa's small, cozy town to stay with him over the summer. Then Emily finds a whistle and can open a door to another dimension and gets a demon akin to a persona. There are stats to build that will help conversations, minigames, demon fusion, and the battle music straight up sounds like something from Persona 3 or the games beyond that. It's amazing. I am really floored. Don't be like me and pass it up judging a book by its cover. Retro Earthbound Persona should be enough to get you to look into this too. Conscript is a World War I horror game where the horror is war itself. I know, cliche. You're stuck in the trenches having to find your missing wounded brother, all the while enemy soldiers are invading your den, and there are little survivors left. Think of the trench like the mansion from Resident Evil with small puzzles thrown in here and there, from box pushing to finding keys. There are melee weapons like clubs and shovels, and an assortment of firearms from handguns to rifles. There's not much in the line of zombies or monsters, but Conscript is terrifying in other ways. From the unique twist on the genre to the low-resolution graphics, akin to a PS1, Conscript hit me hard and I recommend it hardback. Cyberwar Neon City is a new roguelike in early access that can be best described as Cyberpunk 2077 combined with Enter the Gungeon. Your character gets demolished in the opening mission and gets replaced with a cybernetic body that can then be upgraded between runs. You can pick your shark-based gun at the start of each run, and each gun has perks attached as well as different firing modes. For example, one gun fires a wave-like blast as if it is harnessing the power of the ocean. It's a typical top-down roguelike shooter that will be a grind to progress through, however, the upgrades are constant and it runs well on the Steam Deck even in early access, so there are high hopes for it. Deadlink kind of looks like a missing roguelike mode from Cyberpunk 2077 to bring that up again. It takes place in a cyberpunk future and the designs look close to the ones you can find in that game. What sets it apart though is the gameplay, because the whole shooting feels better. In typical roguelike fashion, you will go into rooms, blast away baddies, get temporary upgrades, choose pathways, and yada yada yada. Instead of building your one character, you can choose several classes that unlock who have different guns and abilities. There is a permanent upgrade system too, as a way to increase health and other stats. The initial character has a shotgun, some sort of explosive gun, and a grappling hook, and the ability to stun enemies. Once you get the hang of the flow, your moves will look like a fluid pro. Last Vanguard is one of the coolest games in early access right now on Steam, which does run on the Steam Deck. You will awaken in a tank and come out looking like you belong in World War I. Also, the art style is like a combination between Cuphead and Battlefield 1. The various dungeons and surrounding areas look like the European warfront, with a bit of a fantastical twist. There are robots everywhere, and the human, in quotes, enemies don't look quite right. Plus, there's always this ashy black mist in the air. Something is looming beneath the surface of this Metroidvania shooter/RPG hybrid, and without revealing too much, let's just say you won't be disappointed in some of the revelations. With future updates, the game could become even more fantastical, but as of right now, it is still worth recommending. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered collects both Soul Reaver games into one package. They focus on a vampire named Raziel, who has been banished to the underworld for evolving too fast above Kain, Lord of the Vampires. Despite these games being decades old, the narrative still slaps thanks to the voice acting. The controls hold up a little bit less with the new HD look. That's because the graphics were the big upgrade, since you can toggle between the graphical settings, which is always cool to see in a remastered game, but they can't really do too much to the gameplay because of that factor. They're not bad controls, but some button prompts and jumps will be hard to pull off, and the targeting system isn't always accurate. Still, it's so amazing that these puzzle adventure games are back. The Legacy of Kain franchise is sorely underrated and in need of some care taking. Last but not least, we have Lynked, Banner of the Spark, another early access game. It's a unique action roguelike, as it was made by a team with Steven Spielberg's son, Max. Nepo babies aside, it actually is unique, and I dig it even in the early access state. You can create a character and then break out of jail after being imprisoned by evil robots. You'll get a grappling hook attached to your arm, a weapon, and some good, robot buddies. They are good though. Primo. A rebellion is unwinding, and to make this faction bigger, you will have to go on missions, either alone or online with friends, to get materials and build a colony. The building mechanics are minimal, so don't worry about Link Banner of the Spark being as involved as, something like Minecraft. Or maybe that's what you want, and then maybe you'll be disappointed. For me, I liked simplicity. But they're simple there to help keep the roguelike alive. Combat is fun with good weapon variety and skills. Upgrades will happen often, and it is fun to hop online with others. It runs fine on the Steam Deck, but it always looks pixelated like a blown-up DS game, even when tweaking with the settings. I'm not sure if it was just me or what was going on. I don't think it looks bad, it's just kind of odd. But overall, it's another promising early access game. But that is it for part 1. Do I have you hooked? I hope so. So, if I do, then join me in part 2, which will be airing pretty soon. Depending on what order you watch these in, they'll be hours apart. Okay, thank you all for watching.